Game Demo!
Hey everyone, and welcome to our daily demo. I am joined by Rex from Chaos Studios here in the studio to show us Homefront. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so last time we saw this was at E3, and you have brought in a new level to show us today?
Same level, but we're going to show you the second half of the level that we showed you the first half of at E3.
All right, let's just jump right in and kind of take a look and see where we're at right now.
So here we go. What you can see here is the inside of a Tiger Direct store, which the Resistances just fight through. To give you some context, what we're doing here is we're going to place these tracking devices on these fuel tankers, which the Resistance has learned the Koreans have in this area. And by placing the tracking devices on these tankers, we can eventually chase them down and attempt to steal their fuel.
So you're continuing from the level that we've seen before.
Correct.
Now, so for those who are kind of still figuring out about the game, so how's the story set up? Like, what's the story about?
Well, the story itself is about, the foreign occupation of America and generally these civilian freedom fighters who have chosen to fight back. And the overall story is about this plan that they have to steal this fuel from the Koreans and deliver it to remnants of the U.S. military who are trying to launch a counterattack in San Francisco. So this is a part of the process where we're actually going after the fuel which the U.S. military needs. And right here you see the fuel tankers are actually pulling out of the station, and I'm going to have to sprint to catch up to them.
If you miss this, you have to do it again.
Yeah, and there's my tracking beacon. You see it blinking there. So I've tagged the trucks. Now I'm going to regroup with my squad here.
I find it interesting that's a TigerDirect.com.
Yeah, real world brands in the game. We have Hooters, we have White Castle.
We serve you little sliders and you go.
And the whole idea there is just making the environment, the world, seem believable and familiar to people. So the Koreans were storing fuel in this store, and as a result of our fight through the store, we've ignited some of that fuel, and the store has largely caught fire.
Oh.
Okay, so now we're going to be fighting our way back through this store. We have to now escape.
So are you using cover a lot in this game?
You pretty much have to. One of the things with being a civilian freedom fighter is we didn't want this to be a run and gun game where you could just charge through, charge heading into enemy fire. So you do have to be pretty defensive in this game, use cover. We're pretty quick to send you to low health, but the regen time is also very fast to counterbalance it. So now the store's on fire, and it's really our only escape option. So we'll see there's a lot of fuel barrels here I can use. You can see there's this crashed helicopter that our Goliath shot down earlier in the level. And we'll just follow our squad through the burning store here. But the problem with the store is it's been abandoned for many, many years since the invasion and the collapse of democracy. So you can see that the roof's got a giant hole in it where there's been a cave-in.
Oh, wow.
And the whole thing is burning down. Pieces of it collapsing, and a burning enemy. Give him the long knife, put him out of his misery.
Now what can you tell us about the weapons that we'll find?
So a lot of the weapons are very familiar. We're a near future game, we're not a sci-fi game, so you'll find very familiar SMGs, M4s, M16s, and a few other things, but it's basically stuff that you're used to and stuff that's familiar. The classic guns of the FPS genre.
So why North Korea? I mean, usually people don't usually go there in video games. This is one of the first.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of what makes it interesting is that, chief among countries that America fears or doesn't understand, North Korea was high up among them.
Yeah, well, no one understands them if they're so isolated.
And, Middle Eastern countries been done a bunch of times, and, we explored China, but we really thought like North Korea offered us a much more interesting option for who the enemy was. And very few games have used North Korea before, so all those reasons tied into it. Also, the idea in the game is that it's not just North Korea, it's actually North Korea who's now taken over South Korea and Japan, so you're really fighting a pan-Asian force.
Right. Yeah, and I read somewhere that Japan was going to censor parts of the game, when it's going to be released, and you guys, for the North American release, is there going to be something similar?
Completely uncensored for North America.
Okay, so everything that was in the game originally planned is going to...
That's correct.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what's happening now?
So the squad's talking about their next plan of action here, and we're going to head out onto this rooftop and make our escape. The only issue here is that the resistance forces in the parking lot are pinned down. And in order to escape the parking lot, they're going to need some backup, some support. And in order to do that, we're going to bring in some vehicles to help us out. And you'll see the Goliath is actually on display pretty heavily in this fight. So now we're back on the roof of the Tiger Direct where we started the mission. And what you'll see here as we come around the corner is that the battle is still raging. You see our Goliaths out there. Here come the trucks that are supposed to transport the resistance out.
Okay.
And while my squad runs down there to make their escape, I'm going to use Goliath to attack some of these enemies.
That's handy.
Yeah, and I can also engage here with a sniper rifle if I want.
Are there other vehicles that you'll be able to play with?
Yes, actually there is. We're not revealing a lot yet, but one of the big premises of the story and the reason why your character is recruited is because he's a helicopter pilot and the Resistance needs a helicopter pilot. So you can imagine that that is going to come into play. So here are the trucks that are transporting the Resistance out, and in classic fashion they are leaving without me. So I'll have to catch up here.
Sprint.
Get a hand up, and we make our escape. Now you can see the Goliath is chasing us. He's following, doing our rear guard action.
Yeah.
So we leave the store behind, and you'll see some pursuit vehicles come into play here.
Some action-packed chase sequence.
Yep, and we got Goliath is sort of covering our rear. Now he relies on the player to call out targets, mark targets for him. Although he's AI driven and AI controlled in terms of where he drives, his weapon systems are completely dependent on user input.
Oh, okay, so you're kind of controlling both right now yourself.
Here comes an attack helicopter, which is a much bigger threat, so I'm going to go after him. And hopefully our Goliath will shoot him down in time.
And you mentioned before, this is a never-seen-before level.
This part of the level has never been seen before. And so now we've just destroyed that overpass and blocked off our escape route, which leads us to the end of our level here.
Excellent.
And this is the end of the first half of the game.
All right, great. So when's the game coming out and on what platform?
The game is coming out March 15th. We're on the Xbox 360, we're on the PS3, and we're on the PC.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
All right, and that was our look at Homefront. And now on with the rest of the show.